Okay, here we're going to be looking at how our periodic table of elements is broken up into three main categories. These three main categories are metals, nonmetals, and metalloids. Each have a specific type of properties that they follow. We'll take a short section of notes on those. But it's really about understanding what's happening with this periodic table to determine whether or not an element forms a positive ion, a cation, or a negative ion, an anion. So I like to start by saying if you just know where your metalloids are, okay, then you know where your metals and your nonmetals are going to be. See, metalloids are right in the middle. They're metal-like, and they follow, if you can see this darker sort of line right here. Let's see if I can shade that in a little bit. This line right here is sort of the line between my metals and my nonmetals. And our metalloids sort of follow along this particular line. Okay. Ouch. And so our metalloids, I'm just going to shade in here with my highlighter. It saves me from having to shade every other part of the periodic table. Okay. And so you can see that the metalloids sort of are on either side of this line that separates the periodic table here. Okay. And so this line right here, these yellow spots are our metalloids. Okay. Basically, if you think of it like this, pretty much everything to the left of my metalloids, okay, just going to draw a line right here and say anything to the left can be classified as a metal. Which makes pretty much everything to the right. Any guesses? You want to guess? Shout it out loud. Nobody's around. Nobody's listening to you. Is a nonmetal. I know I go in and out of capital and lowercase letter. I apologize if it bothers you. I can't help it anymore. All right, so let's just say, here we go. To the left are metals. To the right are nonmetals. And here's the thing about metals and nonmetals. Metals form positive ions that we call a cation. And nonmetals form negative ions, which we call anion. So if you're looking at your periodic table, you could tell that here are my nonmetals, and these will form our negative ions, right? Negatively charged ions. They take electrons, right? They gain electrons, right? Because electrons are overly negative, and so by gaining electrons, they become more negative. Whereas cations, these lose electrons. So they're giving away their negative charges, so they become overly positive. And when you take electrons on, when you gain them, you become overly negative.